Hi and welcome to KKD Studios. A few days ago on our social media we posted an image that looked similar to this, but this is just another example that we've cooked up for the purpose of this video. And in today's video we're going to be showing you how to create this film strip look for your next social post. So the first thing you're going to want to do is to click on a new Photoshop document and to open something custom, make it 9 by 16, something that will perfectly fit on your phone for the likes of Instagram Reels or TikTok. Make sure that your width is 19, your height 16, and that it's portrait, and hit create. Once you've got the new project open in the blank document, you want to be clicking on the fill tool. Then making sure that you select a near black colour, hitting OK and filling it. The next thing you're going to want to do is get the rectangle tool. Change the colour to a slightly lighter colour, maybe a grey or a browny colour, and use that to draw two rectangles that are going to become your film strip. To make it quicker, create one, use Ctrl and J and copy it and paste it and put another one. And there you have your two film strips ready to create this look and to create the overall image. So once you've added text to your film strips, obviously you want to create yourself a little logo, something like this that looks like a bit of a Kodak logo. The 054 or the 035 you can see in this image is just in relation to the number of pictures you've taken. The DL and the numbers, the 140925, is just a date, just so that if you wanted to, you could date it to the date the pictures were taken. This is just purely an example, and as of the day of recording this, the day before the recording of this video. But yeah, that's exactly what you want to do. The next thing you want to do is to get the rectangle tool again, and this time we want to change the fill to a white with no stroke and draw a rectangular box, and then you want to use Ctrl and J and copy and paste these as and where you need them to fill out the rest of the film strip, rotating them as you need. So once you've created all your white rectangles, you'll have something that looks like this. The next thing you need to do is import all your images. So what I've done is I've managed to get 4 or 5 sort of stock images. I've tried to get some that I think tell a story, and it's probably going to look a bit of a mess, but they're obviously really too big for what we've obviously created so far. So we're going to obviously need to shrink these images down. But for this kind of an image, I think things that tell a story together, the 4 stock images I've chose, are probably the best kind of idea to go for. So I'm going to hit shift. I'm just going to resize all of these photos. So I'm going to do that for each photo that we've got here that I've just imported. And you should now be at a stage where you're also resizing the images that you have imported into this. And we've got a little portrait one over here, so I think that'll go there quite nicely. We've got another portrait one, I think that'll go nicely towards the bottom of the right hand side of the image. All these images at the moment are portrait, that's not really a problem. I like this one, I think that one can go there on the left. We'll put the big one in the middle, that's not going to be a problem. We can sort that in a moment, you'll see what we do with that. So we're going to put that one there on the left there, and of course this one we are going to then shrink down and sort of put it there. It's fine that it's portrait, we can fix that. So the first thing we are going to do is, I know that looks a bit of a mess, but that's where clipping masks come in. So what we need to do is we need to find out which of the white rectangles is directly under this image. I've copied and pasted it for this purposes so that we can do the ones underneath it. So I think this one, if I remember rightly, is rectangle 2 because it was the first white rectangle that we created. So what we're going to do is we're going to get layer 6, which is this photograph, this stock image of the woman and her daughter. We're going to drag it down and we're going to put it just above the rectangle 2 layer. Just pop that down there. So pop that there, and then we're going to right click and we're going to create clipping mask, and then you can see there that it's now within that rectangle. We can move it and adjust it however you need. Then do it to all the rest of the photos. So once you've done all that with the clipping masks, you get something that looks like this, and as you can see we've kind of got sort of like where it's created a bit like a clipping effect. Was that the images are split, we've sized it, some are zoomed in, some are zoomed out. One thing that adds a little bit of extra detail is this tiny bit at the bottom, just so it makes it look like you've almost like cut the strip in half. I think that just adds a little bit of extra detail, makes it feel a little bit more authentic. and the style of images that you choose also helps sell the effect even more so. And I think the images I've chosen here have a very retro haze over them anyway, although these are just stock images and obviously all copyright goes to the original photographers. These were just stock images that I downloaded off Pexels for the purpose of demonstrating this tutorial. So the next thing we're going to want to do is, just to make this next step easier, is to group all our photos together, which you can now see we have done. And what that allows us to do is to select all our photos at once without going in sort of control and left clicking every single layer. So we're going to select all our photos at once, and then what we're going to do is we're going to go up to our adjustments, and what we're going to be looking for is the gradient map, and we're going to get a gradient map, and we are going to just select sort of any random one to initially begin with. So I just have a quick look to see, maybe a neutral, no, maybe a grey, no, just any random one will do. I'm just looking for one. Okay, we'll go for this one here. What you then want to do is to select a reddish brown colour for this side. So we'll go for something there. We'll, in fact, actually, let's just make it a little bit more red. So yeah, you're wanting like a reddish brown colour, something that's going to feel a little bit old. Those kind of retro sort of colour grading ideas that you might think of. Then on the end, we're going to be wanting on this side a creamy white kind of a colour. So I think if we maybe move it to the yellows, then maybe move over, we might be able to find like a creamy colour. And what you get is a very kind of sepia haze style. And then you can obviously mess around with the midpoint, make it more red, more reddy brown, more cream. However you want to do, it's obviously completely up to whatever you're looking for. Obviously, in fact, actually, I'm just going to make this slightly a little bit lighter on this side with the reddy brown. Yeah, that looks more like it, and then yeah, we'll just adjust the midpoint again there. So we've got that. Obviously, if you wanted it to be a little bit more subtle, you could change the opacity of that particular layer. So the next thing you're going to want to do is to go to adjustments and go to curves, and what you're going to be looking to do is just create a very subtle S on the middle line, just having a mess around with it. So I'm relatively happy with that, I think. But yeah, you guys can, obviously, if you're doing this for yourselves, you do it customized however you would prefer it. So the next thing you want to do is to create a new look. So we're going to click on new layer, we're going to go to edit, and we're going to go to fill. We're then going to select 50% grey and hit OK. That'll then create a big grey box. Then what we want to do is just change the blending mode to overlay, and that just creates a nice gold sort of grey haze over the image. And then that'll help us with our next step. So what we're going to do is then when we're going to go to filter, we're going to go to add noise, and we're just going to leave this somewhere between 2% and 5%. We'll leave it as an house rounded 3 for now. And then what you want to do is to make sure that you have select Gaussian or Gaussian and that you've clicked monochromatic. Hit OK, and what that'll do is just leave a very subtle noisy effect on the image that almost has that film grain style. So the last thing that you are going to want to do is to create some kind of a light leak. Now I've actually got a pre-saved one. You can find textures online. You could create your own if you wanted to. I've got one down here saved as close-up film texture. We're going to import this into our project, and then we're going to have a mess around with it. So obviously it's opened on a new layer. We'll drag it over to our image, and then we'll just have change the blending mode to screen. Now obviously you can then you can adjust it however you like, you can scale it however you like. I like to have the light leak on the left as if the light's coming from the left, holding shift and just scaling it however you'd like. There's no set way to do this. This bit is entirely up to your interpretation, but it just adds a slight little extra bit of texture to the image, in my opinion, and just gives it that slight grungy effect. If you want to take it even better and you think the image is too strong, you can always lower the opacity. I think I'll probably lower this one to around about 64%, which I think looks good. And yeah, that's pretty much it. That's how to create a film strip look for your next social media post. You can put any images in here, you can change it however you like, but yeah, that's how to create this look. So yep, there you have it. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button and of course hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you never miss another video. If you've got any other ideas that you think we could apply to some photos and you want to know how to do it, let us know in the comments below and we might make a video on how to do it. But yeah, TTYL guys.